Hey everyone, it's here. I've got a detailed unboxing with measurements and a look at everything that's in this box. Coming up. All right, so I know there are a lot of unboxing videos out there now of the Starlink kit, but I cannot resist. I've been waiting for this for so long that I just have to share it with you. I know a lot of you are still waiting for your invite or for your kit to arrive in the mail. So hopefully I can share some of this with you. And like I said, I'm going to provide a lot of detailed measurements of what's in here and even power it up so we can see what it looks like for the first time. All right, let's dig in. I'm going to turn it around. Ooh, all right, it's a pretty big box. There's no doubt about that. So it starts off with the giant set of instructions, all pictograms, so it works in any language. The only words on here are Starlink and Wi-Fi. So clearly they're tackling the world. It's pretty well packaged. This is all a kind of a pretty dense plastic case. You could definitely see this being as a reusable case for the Starlink kit if someday you're allowed to move it around. As of now, the Starlink usage is restricted to the area, the region, the address that you originally registered for. But I could definitely see reusing this in the future. And here it is. I'm going to change the camera angle around to give you a better look inside the box as I take things out. All right, here we go. I'm going to show detailed looks of all of these pieces, but I wanted to show you as they're laid out in the box, and I'll pull them out piece by piece and talk a little bit about them and then go into detail of each one. All right, first off, right on the top is the tripod that is included with the Starlink kit. So this is metal. It feels like maybe a cast aluminum. It's pretty light. It's got holes in each corner of the tripod, and then a central hole where the actual dish fits in. You can see here there are guide holes, and those correspond with the little clips on the side of the Starlink dish. So that'll plug right into there and lock with the clips. So that's the tripod. Okay, everything is all pre-wired, everything's plugged in, everything's connected. Just going to put that on the floor so it doesn't fall. So it's really easy to set up, but for this I'm actually going to unplug things as I take them out. So starting with the power supply. So it comes with a standard computer style power supply, the IEC. I'll give you close-ups of all of these. Like I said, it's all plugged in, so I'm just going to unplug these. They're color-coded with the white and the black, so easy to reconnect. And I'll give you a look at the details there in a second. A couple regulatory notices. This is in English and French, it looks like. So that's language specific. Then there is the big black cord here. This is the 100-foot Ethernet cable that carries power and data from the power supply to the dish. I'm just going to set this aside here for a moment. Then we've got the Starlink router here. Really cool little package. I'll give you a close-up view of this. Then the shorter white Ethernet cable, I'll give you some details on this. Now, this whole piece of plastic comes out here. And now we see the next layer, the dish. I'm going to move this Ethernet cable over to the side. Again, I'm going to give you a lot of details on all of this, a lot of measurements, but for now I'm just going to lift it out. And let's take a big close look at the business end. Wow. So that is the actual Starlink antenna surface. I'll give you a close-up look as well, but it is textured. It's not perfectly smooth. It's not a smooth glass surface. It's actually a rough texture. I'll give you a close-up of this as well, but wow, very cool. And that's the components in the box. So now what I'm going to do now is take all these pieces and actually get a closer detailed look at each one of them. I'm going to start with the Starlink router here. You can see it standing up. The front is all kind of a polished metal, probably cast aluminum. And then the white portion is just a plastic. On the back, we've got a hard-coded network ID that feels like it's lasered onto there. I'm going to share that with you so you can steal my internet if you ever come over to visit me. So that's the name of the Wi-Fi network that will be created. And then you can see this bottom port is for the actual Starlink connection from the power supply, which is just, I guess, relaying the Ethernet cable from the Starlink dish itself. And then up here we've got an auxiliary port, and it's plugged with a little rubber gasket. But you can see there that's just another Ethernet port. And the documents say that you can use that port if you want to make a wired connection, but still use the Starlink router for Wi-Fi. But yeah, they have that capped up by default. If we look here at the bottom, we had some hint of this label from the leaks earlier. So the FCC registration included a mock-up of this label. I'm revealing my serial number to you here. Hopefully that doesn't actually give you access to anything, but I'll take my chances. So you can see here there's a reset button on the bottom, and everything else is pretty standard stuff. You've got a model number, revision, serial number, the specs on the power over Ethernet. That's where the 56 volt comes through. And overall, it's a pretty slim little unit. Looks pretty sharp. I'm probably not going to use it. I prefer to run my own router, and initial beta testing suggests that that's going to work fine. But there you go. A good look at that. Pretty well designed. Looks pretty sharp. All right, next up is the internal Ethernet cable. Nothing really exciting here. It seems to be a pretty standard Ethernet cable. It's got a cool kind of molded boot here. It's shielded. You can see the metal side on the Ethernet jack there, but nothing really particular here. I measured the length and it is just about 6 foot 6 inches long. And that's just the same on both ends. Next up is the power cord for the power supply. This is pretty standard. You can see here we've got a standard computer style connector on this side, and then a standard 15 amp plug on this side. I measured this cable as well. This is 6 feet long, pretty much right on. So that's for the power supply. All right, next up is the power supply itself. So it's a pretty solid, hefty brick. You can see here the two different Ethernet connectors, black to the dish outside, white to the inside router. Reports from the beta are that the white port is an intelligent power over Ethernet port. So you can plug in something that needs power over Ethernet, or you can plug in a standard port that does not need it. I don't know yet what the standard is there, but I'll show you on the bottom here. This is the label, and I'll show a close-up shot of that in better resolution in a minute. So I'm going to be doing some experimentation with that internal port to see if I can identify exactly what standard it's using. And the black port to the dish appears to be a non-standard power over Ethernet. It puts out too much power to be any of the existing IEEE standards. So it appears to be something specific for the dish. And that's the power supply. That's where the connector plugs in there. All right, next up is a little bit more detail on the mounting tripod that comes included with the box. I'm going to do a few measurements here. The inside diameter of this socket here. And I'm going to be doing most of my measurements here in imperial. So that's just under 1.5 inches. Let me get that for you. Less important, but just for information, the outside diameter of this is about 1.7 inches. Now, these two mounting holes on the side, there's matching clips on the Starlink base. So I'm going to measure the inside diameter there. In case you want to put these in your own custom mounting pole. So that is ever so slightly over 1/2 inch. And from the lip down to the top of the hole, so you can see there what I'm measuring. Sorry, it's a pretty big stand. So that dimension is just a little bit over 1/4 inch, 0.25 inches. So that's from the top ledge down to the top of the hole. Okay, on the corners, there's a hole that goes straight through there. I'm just going to measure the inside diameter of this hole for you. That is 0.37. If I flip this over to fractions, it's pretty much 3/8 of an inch, this hole here. And that's the same in all three corners. Okay, just a look at the underside. Not a lot of interesting detail here, but just so you see the full picture. There it is. And what you've all been waiting for, the actual Starlink dish. Now this is pretty big, so I'm going to spin it around to first take a look at the actual post here. So I already showed some of these dimensions measured by somebody else, just the images on one of my other videos, but I'm just going to do this myself now as well to share that. Let me just position it here. So the main shaft, let me get that in there, is it's very precise here, so let me just put it into, so 1.5 inches, a hair over 1.5 inches. And the narrower portion here is just a hair over 1.4 inches. So about 1/10 of an inch smaller diameter. Now these little plugs, you can see here they're spring loaded. And they clip into the base below. The diameter of these little plugs is, let me get a good angle here. You can see here just under 1/2 inch. And you can see the shoulder here. The distance between the shoulder and the start of that plug is just about 0.2 inches. Okay, now I want to look at the cable itself. First up, this bracket here, and I'll get some detail shots in just a second, but it is permanently attached. There's nothing removable here. Let me get that in there a bit better. So you have to use the cable supplied with the dish. And on the cable, there's one of these chokes at both ends. So I'll just give some dimensions on this. So you can see here, that is just a little bit under an inch. Let me flip that around for you. About 9/10 of an inch. And the length of the main body is about 2.3 inches. Okay, and I wanted to share as well just a close-up of this surface. It's sort of an interesting texture. You can see it's not a smooth glass. It's got a bit of a woven texture. And you can see, it might be hard to see on there, but it looks like it's epoxied to this black frame underneath. And that holds the surface on there. All right, I just went through a bit of a whirlwind introduction to all the pieces in the box. Now I'm going to turn it on. Before I do that, comment down below if there's anything else you want me to measure or size or check. I'm happy to do that and put it into my next video. If you like this kind of stuff, I'm going to be doing a lot with this Starlink kit. Subscribe down below and hit the bell icon so you get notified of all my videos as soon as I publish. All right, let's turn it on. First up, the dish. So this plugs right into the base. And I'm going to push those two little buttons on the bottom, and you can hear them click into place. Now, I'm in my basement, so there's no way this is going to pick up a signal, but I want to watch it try. I've got the other end of the black cable. You can see the second choke here. Might as well measure that while I'm here. So this is the end that would go into your house. And you can see there, a little over, I guess that's far away. Anyway, it's about 3/4 of an inch. I'll do another close-up of this in a second. So I'm going to plug this into the black port of the power supply, like so. I'm going to plug this into the white port. I'm going to plug the other end of the white port into there. And now the power supply. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope it doesn't fall off the table. I'll try to hold the base and let's just see what happens. Here we go. We've got the light on the router blinking here. I'm just waiting for this thing to start to move. It might, oh. So from the videos I've seen online, this appears to be the initial searching position. It's pretty much pointing straight up, and I'm guessing with the broadest kind of focus to try to get any signal from any Starlink dish. Like I said, I'm inside my house clearly, so it's not going to be able to pick anything up. If this takes a while, I'll just edit over it. So while I was waiting, I checked out the app to connect to the router here. The app lets you control the dish, kind of return it to its neutral position, see the status, things like that. I thought maybe it would give me some indication on what the dish is doing right now. I think it's just waiting for a signal, which it's not going to get indoors here. But it turns out there's actually a known bug in the app that prevents it from connecting, so I can't actually connect it to get the results. So I'm going to end the video here. The dish is right now acting as a nice coffee table here for me. I'm definitely going to be doing a lot more with this, setting it up outdoors, getting it connected, digging into a lot more specifics. Again, if there's anything you want me to check, measure, try out, let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe, hit the bell to get notified of new videos. I'm going to be doing a lot with this over the next few days and weeks. And thank you all for watching. See you next time.